Welcome back. Well, the Senate crossed the finish line on the big, beautiful bill yesterday. Vice President J.D. Vance cast a tie-breaking vote to pass the bill out of the Senate. After 3 Republicans sided with all the Democrats to vote no. They could only afford 3 no votes. They got them. The Senate GOP largely praised the passage. Eric Schmidt wrote on Truth Social this. This bill kicks 1.4 million illegal immigrants off of Medicaid. Yes, this did make it into the final draft of the bill, writes Eric Schmidt, the senator from Missouri. The House Rules Committee voting to advance the bill to the floor after nearly 12 hours of debate. Congressman Ralph Norman and Chip Roy in the House both voted no, also siding with the Democrats. The full chamber will receive the bill this morning. 9 a.m. Eastern, the debate begins, and a vote could happen any time after that, today or tomorrow. The president writes on Truth Social, to my GOP friends in the House, stay united, have fun, and vote yay. Joining me now is Texas Congressman Brandon Gill. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. How are you expecting to vote on this bill?
Well, thanks for having me. I am a yes on this bill. This is the president's agenda. This is tax cuts. It's border security. It's repealing the Green New Deal. It's all of the things that we ran on in the past election cycle. I think the president has set this July 4th deadline. We need to meet it. It's our job to uphold our end of the bargain and get this thing done.
Do you think you have the votes necessary? I know you can only afford 3 no votes. It looks like you've got 2 already. Is there a third?
We're going to see. We're going to vote on this perhaps as early as just a few hours from now. There are a few people who are still working through different provisions that were added to the Senate bill. As you know, that process lasted until yesterday. So they've been working on this for some time, making some changes. So we're going to see where the votes land. But whether we get this done today or tomorrow, I think we're going to hit that deadline.
All right. Well, then that means it will be a happy July 4th for the Republicans and President Trump. We just heard Newt Gingrich and how he's talking about the impact on the Democrats. Do you think that the Democrats will actually see an impact come 2026 and the re-election campaigns, given the fact that they just voted to increase taxes on Americans by voting no on this bill?
I think they will. And you know, it's not just the taxes that they voted to increase, but we saw votes yesterday and the day before in the Senate where Democrats voted to allow illegal aliens to continue receiving Medicaid funds. That is wildly unpopular with the American people. The Democrats right now are standing in the way of tax cuts. They're standing in the way of border security and deportations, and they're standing in the way of rolling back the Green New Deal and getting us back on the track to fiscal sanity. These are all things the American people resoundingly voted for in the last cycle, and Democrats need to wake up and listen to the voters and listen to the people who are saying we want to get this country back on track. We trust the president on the economy. We trust him on the border, and we want to get him the resources he needs to carry out his agenda.
I thought it was interesting this week that President Trump talked about New York City incumbent Mayor Eric Adams and his re-election bid. He talked about him yesterday. He noted also that mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani interferes with ICE operations, and if he does, then he would be arrested. Here's what the president said about Mamdani to me this week. Watch.
What did you make of the New York Democrat primary? Mamdani.
I think it's very bad for New York. I don't know that he's going to get in. It's inconceivable that but he's a communist, and he's a pure communist. Let's say this. If he does get in, I'm going to be president, and he's going to have to do the right thing.
He said he's going to fight ICE. He's not going to allow ICE to...
He'll be very unsuccessful.
And he said if Benjamin Netanyahu comes to New York, he's going to have him arrested.
Whoever's mayor of New York is going to have to behave themselves, or the federal government is coming down very tough on them financially.
Congressman, what do you make of this? The president just told you, and he told all of us on Sunday when he joined me in that exclusive interview, that he's going to hold back federal money. If, in fact, Mamdani interferes with ICE operations, we've got this resurfaced video showing Mamdani claims he grew up in a third world country while eating rice with his hands. His mother is a famous Indian filmmaker. His father teaches at Columbia University. So I'm not sure what he's talking about here with the third world, but your reaction to Mamdani and what happens if, in fact, he resists ICE if he does get in as mayor?
Well, I think the president is right. If Mamdani does break the law and resist ICE in his city, and remember, just a couple days ago, he put out a statement referring to ICE as terrorizing New York City. But if he breaks the law, he should be arrested. Remember, this is a guy who is actually a communist. That is not political hyperbole. In his own words, his goal is to seize the means of production. He doesn't believe that billionaires should exist. This is a guy who has talked about and defended the phrase, globalize the intifada. This is a guy who is going to destroy New York City if we allow him to get elected, if New Yorkers vote for this guy. Now, remember, this is a guy who wants to promote third world policies in the United States, and I think that's what he was referring to in the video, where he was eating rice with his hands. This is a guy who will lead New York down a very, very dark path, and I support the president in pushing back against this.
All right, we will leave it there. It's great to see you, sir. Thanks very much. Congressman, we'll be watching your work. Big day today.